And oh, here we go. Are we waiting for a thing to happen?
Yeah, me. All right, we are live. There we are. Hey, look, and we're actually on the screen too. Greetings, everybody. This is Shroud of the Avatar. As if you didn't know. Okay, let's see. Where were we talking about here? Oh, yes, that's right. This is the Release 130 live stream. And we're going to talk about what we've done, what we're planning on doing, and all sorts of neat stuff like that. So let's see here. Welcome to Shroud of the Avatar's Release 130 live stream. Each month we have at least one live stream a month after the day after the release. And this month is 130. We are now absolutely, we're in the fourth quarter of the 11th year of our monthly updates. And apparently, we're not going to be stopping that anytime soon. So there you go.
Good news.
Yeah. Shroud of the Avatar is a free-to-play online game with over 400 scenes to explore. Follow us here on Twitch at /Shroud of the Avatar with no spaces. Facebook, Shroud of the Avatar, no spaces. Twitter, Shroud of Avatar, because I guess somebody had the other, or via RSS on our website, shroudoftheavatar.com, where you could buy ceiling fans. uh, we have at least one live stream a month providing updates on game development as well as upcoming events and sales. This coming month, I have been working towards and now plan definitively to live stream some of my dev work. I am going to be working on player dungeons, and we will talk about that in a little bit. So you guys will see more streams from us this month, I think. Today we will have at least two prizing giveaways. To enter, type the phrase "a toast to mojito," that's MOJITO, into any in-game chat, including whispers, or make a purchase on the website. Players can enter the phrase in-game or make a purchase on the website to enter anytime during the day of the stream, prior to or during the live stream, right up to the drawings. Minute or so. We'll tell you when we're going to do the drawing. So we'll add a round of prizes for each hype train level completed by the folks watching the stream in Twitch. So if you guys do the hype thing, then we'll add more prizes to that thing. And we generally will do 2 prizes an hour. So if the stream lasts 2 hours, then we'll add 2 more prizes to the thing. If we're wrapping things up at the top of the hour at 5 o'clock, because we really just schedule for 1 hour, but sometimes we just get so ingrained in what we're talking about and such that we end up going 2 or 3 hours long. So we give you more prizes for that. Okay, so introductions. I am Stephen Reinen, also known as Ravalox, and I do pretty much a little bit of everything around here. Call myself the chief cook and bottle washer. So I'll pass that on to Allium.
Hi, I'm Allium, or Allie Oop is my player character, and I handle the bug forum and release notes and patch notes and making some small items and doing some small world building changes.
Very cool. And she adds more and more stuff to her skill set every day.
Yes, I can dye things now.
So, Scottie, who are you?
Hello. I'm Scottie, Scott Jones. In game, I'm Nimrod Ionescu. And I've just been informed. I haven't had a chance to start watching the actual live stream kind of a set of things being said. But I've just been told that loads of people are wishing me happy birthday, and I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'll be turning 56 tomorrow, so that's wonderful, and I really appreciate the fireworks, you guys. I think that's really cool. It's really neat seeing the kind of stuff that everyone has been able to do. And yeah, the very idea that that folks like Allium are able to just keep growing their skills to the extent that you are able to get your finger in so many different pies. I actually envy it because in many ways, though I'm a jack of all trades when it comes to art stuff, kind of master of none. I'm still very much specialized from a standpoint of I have a very dim knowledge of things outside of my areas of expertise. So I always get, a little jealous when I see how many folks are able to kind of reach into various aspects, coding and functionality and building scenes and a variety of other things that I've watched you all kind of leap into over the last many years. And it's just amazing to me the kind of things that you all are able to achieve. But by way of that, I'll just say that, yeah, that's kind of who I am. I'm largely just the artist guy right now, calling from a variety of different disciplines. I think the only thing I've been poking into more recently has been animation stuff, from a standpoint of at least getting things to work so that I can start adding in new stuff like the stuff that we'll be talking about today, that I touched just recently, which has been a lot of fun. I mean, early on, it was touching a lot of things like weapons and objects that you could carry. I had to learn a lot about that on the fly recently. But then stuff that are wearables were newer to me, and usually in the purview of the animation department. But we don't have a full-time animator doing stuff, and with that being the case, filling in the blanks means me touching stuff that I hadn't really ever been made comfortable with before. So thanks for all your support. Not only folks outside kind of being patient with us as I kind of try to learn some of this stuff for the sake of doing it, but also thank you to folks like Ravalox and Allium for their support internally as we get some of this stuff brought online, because I wouldn't have been able to do it without you guys for certain.
There you go.
And that's me. That's the me.
That's a me. And very much a happy birthday, and thank you for everything that you do for the game. I mean, you know, your skill set, being specialized, makes you an absolute master of everything that you touch. So that's a wonderful thing. Yeah, and we've got the fireworks set up for I think now pretty much the core group of devs who are still involved in the game. Still have to set up more fireworks and things like that, but I haven't gotten that all sorted out. There were some errors that needed to be corrected, things along those lines. But yeah, it was fun to do. Fireworks take a lot of time, setting the colors and getting everything right. So lovely. It's always something new. So let's see. Oh, and somebody in the chat had said happy birthday to me. Of course, then they correct themselves that it was yours. Mine is not that far off. Mine's in November, so that's coming up as well. Anyway, where are we? Okay, so let's do more of that boilerplate stuff. Do this, and actually, it's ooh. Yeah, this way we get a nice, good view. So this is we've made we are yet again at that time. We have a special item. In this case, in this time we are doing a set of items. If you buy the 10,000 Kodo pack, then you get to a bonus. You get to get a bonus set of items. And recently there was a request by Janzik. I believe it was this one, right? For Lieutenant Colonel Blake's hat from MASH to be put into the game. So we went ahead and I mean, that was a great idea, and we just jumped on that right away and took some time to get everything, all the ducks in a row. But this is the item that Scottie worked on this month to get into the game, and it came out totally awesome. So you have the hat with the lures on it, and if you don't know MASH, you should definitely check out on the web. Just search, MASH and Henry Blake or Colonel Blake, or even MASH space hat. I think that'll pretty much do it, because the hat is so synonymous with MASH. It's unbelievable. So this is your standard bucket hat, which is typically a fisherman's hat, and also Gilligan's hat, and I mean, it's somewhere I had a list of pictures and stuff. I don't know where that went now. That had some examples of where bucket hats were being worn by famous people and in TV shows and stuff. Anyway, along with it, we've made a custom fishing rod that has military colorings, as well as, and this is going to be, I gotta rotate this thing.
Oh yeah, it's hard to see. It's hard to see because of it's on the shadow side of it, but you can kind of see it on both sides. The the sort of military style MASH unit Red Cross.
This is where
you're having the fun of trying to rotate an item while slowing.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's always
it's the same keybind.
Yeah. So that didn't work, but I thought I was gonna be able to make you trick it and do the control thing. So I want to be able to put the light on this side of it. This is what I want to highlight. So I'm gonna have to come out slow and do all this. So my presentation skills are not that great. Okay, let's see. Come here. Yeah, there we are. Okay. That'll get some light on it.
Oh yeah, there we go.
All right.
And then you go back
to what I was doing. Yeah. All right. So where was I? Oh yeah. So this is. I mean, I'm totally like, wow, this is great. The It's a little bit not as good. It's better. It's better in the actual real file, but um, so we have as if the rod was issued by the U.S. military, and so it's got the Army colors on the reel and everything, and since it was assigned to medical, it's got a Red Cross on it, which of course was not a real thing, but it came out really nice. It identifies itself as being part of this set, and because of course Colonel Blake wore this hat, which of course now I'm facing the wrong way, um, in the show for the first 3 seasons until he actually left the show and they killed him off in a helicopter. But this
Much to
is
everyone's horror, sadness, and dismay.
yeah, exactly. This was a civilian hat that he wore, and the color of the hat was just happened to be close to army green. It wasn't quite army green. It's really a gray, but he put his cluster on the hat, for rank, so that way he could get away with wearing that day to day. And of course, one of the things in the show was he would always, whenever he'd salute, he'd stick himself with one of the flies, the fly lures. So that was always fun. Anyway, that show's got a lot of good memories for a lot of us who were around during that decade, and so the idea of making this hat was irresistible. Had to do it. So this is our homage to that, and it is obviously not exactly the hat, but it's very close.
Yeah, I got pretty anal retentive with it. I mean, you know
Yeah.
me, and so I not only did I try to match the hat as exactly as I could from a standpoint of like finding textures that matched and things like that, but in addition, I grabbed as many visual references of the actual hat as I could. I tried not to do anything that wasn't literally on the hat itself, and then I recrafted and repainted the little things in the texture map to try to recreate the exact lures as seen on the one on TV. So it is as much of a match as I could get with as many photo references as I could find, and Ravalox helped me find some of those references as well. So between us, we really did scour the interwebs for the best reference we could find on it, and I was actually shocked that it ended up coming out as realistic as it did, because at first I didn't expect it to do so,
Hmm.
but it really did come out nicely, and so thank you all for the kind words about it, because yeah, I kind of shocked myself at the end of the day, because especially the texture of like the brim and the hat itself. I mean, it really came out.
And
But yeah.
literally the end of the day, because I was sending you that reference photo of the hat on the female character at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Oh yes, it was literally it sure was. We went over and past the midnight hour, burning that midnight oil, trying to get that stuff done.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite the day. Good Lord. And thank you again. Like I said, we would not have been able to get that going right without your help. I mean, as with all these kind of things that we make, the behind the scenes stuff is the under the hood behind the scenes stuff is the hardest stuff to get right sometimes. And in this particular case, we're dealing with legacy files that were made like what, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, something like that.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Well, then that's the thing. I mean, we even got Damon helped out with so that go
Yeah.
ahead. We ended up sitting in class with Damon is really what it came down
Yes, and
to.
that was
So
very useful. I'm very, very glad that we got that on video. It was an excellent idea, because, even a week later, some of that stuff had left my brain pan. I mean, I got a lot of plates spinning, and so when when it was time to actually do it, going in there and grabbing that hat and then reapplying all the weights. Had we not had that video, I would not have been able to do it. And of course, having done it once, we had to do it like 20 times because we began, discovering that, oh, we need to do fixes to it. And every time we had to do a fix, every time we had to move the mesh in any way, anytime we had to like reassociate the movement to the proper location of the final object so that it covered the hair properly, so that it looked right with as many hairdos as we could, because it's not gonna be perfect for all hairdos. It's only going to be perfect for most of them, because sadly, we discovered along the way that many of the hairdos that were made later on were made in such a way that they didn't even work perfectly well with all the other hats that we had. So it was kind of like, let's make them work as best we can, because what we can't do right now is really go back and try to fix every hairdo that exists. What I can do
Which
is I
would
can make,
probably break a lot of hats if you could, because they're
oh yeah,
designed to fit the imperfections of the hairdos.
totally. That's exactly right. And some of those imperfections are, well, I mean, as imperfections in fact are not consistent across the board. If they were, that would have been even better. But no, the problems with some of the hairdos have, like, there's a divot here but not a divot there in the other hairdo, and then there's an area over here that's uneven that's not uneven in this hairdo.
Right.
And so the hats, what ended up happening is that over time, the female hats got pushed further down and down and down and forward and forward and forward to try to cover up as many of these areas as possible. And that caused many of the hats to end up in kind of unrealistic kind of positions.
Although
So
it does
yeah,
suit a bucket hat, that does expect to go down a little bit.
yes. Well, and in some cases, you want hats to kind of go down, and when they do, that looks great until you have a hairdo though that has giant frizz coming up and out, and when they inconsistently cut the tops off of those hairdos so that hats could kind of lay on top of what's left of the hairdo when you cut it off, they didn't do that consistently, and so the inconsistencies, created problems that you could only adapt to so much with a single hat design. So maybe one day, when there's time to do it, I might be able to go back in and recraft the basic scene in which hats are made, so that either I can start trying to maybe fix some of the hairdos, or start at least bringing in as reference all the lower parts of the hairdos, so that we can at least have a better reference, a frame of reference to create any future hats with. Because even as it was, the reason why Allium and I had to go back and forth so late in the evening was because she needed to show me what my in this case it was the female version of the hat looked like on the female hairdos, because unlike the male hairdos, where I had a file that contained all the references of the lower parts of the hair that I could at least work with, we didn't have a functional file like that for the female hairs, that wasn't too old for me to open up with the Max that I'm currently using. Or I should say, strike that, reverse it. It was a file that was actually saved in a version of Max that was newer than the one I had, so I could not open the file that the hairdos were saved in for the female. So as a result, for me to actually create a file I can use, I'm going to have to export the hairdos that exist, utilizing some other form of functional piece of software, probably export them as OBJs, and then try to bring the OBJs in, and reattach all the textures and materials and everything else to them, so I can actually see the bottom of those hairdos at some later date, and hope to make future hats using that as a reference. So yeah, a lot of under the scene craziness, because I couldn't reference it myself in Max. Allium was kind enough to give me multiple images showing me what the hairdos looked like with the female hat as I initially provided it. And of course, initially it was riding up ridiculously up above the pate, and showing off a giant section of like bald head around it, because I had no reference for how low I needed to go with the hat just to make it look right. So So yeah, it was back and forth multiple times, like over an hour, trying to figure out if I was like getting it right, with me tweaking it blindly again and again and again. It was kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
We all wanted to shriek until it was finally done.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, in the long term, and this is when we talked about this at when, like he said, when there's time and bandwidth and budget and all that neat stuff, that what we'd like to do is actually go in there and you have a set of all the hairdos, and then the hat, what we call the half hair, which is basically you have to chop off the hair from where the hat's going to sit. So each hat that we have would have a custom set of half hairs. Basically what, one of the edicts that Richard had when he first started making Shroud of the Avatar was that he wanted the game client to be small. And of course, we're still small. Our game client is still way smaller than a lot of other MMOs that are out there, and we're a sandbox. You expect the sandbox to have a lot more items, so there's that. But this is one of those shortcuts they took, that they only had one set of half hairs and or half haired styles, and expected that they were going to be able to keep the hats in some conformity to make all those hairstyles work. That just will never be the case. You can't really do that. So a little bit of duplication needs to be done so that way things look better. So down the road, that's something that we might want to do.
Yeah.
Let me get on with the rest of my preamble here, and then I get over to Castellitos. So these are the prizes that we're going to hand out today. And I guess we're about 15 minutes or so. We're going to start talking about doing the drawing. So if you haven't yet, you want to say a toast to Mojito in game in any chat, not in Twitch, but in game. And I know you're thinking about it. Don't do it. It's not going to help you. There you go. So it's a game. There we go. So you can get some better lighting on this thing. So this is the original. I believe this was the original one. I think the pristine one came later.
Yes.
This is the Gothic mansion, and this thing's got secret rooms in it, and it's got what was that, bats, right, flying around the top? Yeah. This is actually really good.
Speaking of Gilligan's Isle, those bats remind me of the ridiculous looking, that really fun, giant, ridiculous bat that would have never been on Gilligan's Isle in the vampire episode.
Oh, yeah.
I just love them because they're just so big and goofy looking.
So this is the fifth prize, which, it's the grand prize, as it were, right, for the prizes. So, and I really like this house.
It has a great Addams Family Monsters feel to it.
Yes.
It does. It's got the Widow's Walk, and then down here,
The larger back deck, yeah.
So yeah, full access to the roof. Great for having a garden.
I don't think you're allowed to groom a nightshade there.
And I won't show you all the secret passages and stuff, but I'll show you.
Let them discover them themselves.
Yeah, pretty much. But there are definitely secret passages on every floor.
They're kind of easy to see because the baseboard on the wall doesn't continue.
What? I don't know what you're talking about. Baseboard missing from the wall. Jeez. But yeah. Anyway, it's a huge.
Are there any houses that actually come with a basement?
No.
We can't cut into the terrain. We could do that possibly in a future version of Unity. And yes, we could make houses that could go below. Right now, there is the big city columned house that has steps up to the main floor and then has a fake basement that's at ground level.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There,
when I was asking, I was actually thinking or wondering if it came with one of, because basements, I guess there's basement doors that lead down. Is that right?
Yeah, hatches.
The
yeah,
hatches, which just teleport you to a separate basement. But no house comes with that, right?
no,
No.
no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, we could, but here's the thing. I mean, you could set up a teleport, right? So you could click on a basement door in the house. It's like embedded and it has a static teleporter in it that brings you down, like let's say 100, you know, and then have the basement down there below the scene. But the problem there is that not all the scenes have consistent levels where the terrain no longer is. So can't really guarantee you won't be cutting into something else that's already in the scene. Um,
Like a water layer.
yeah, so that really has to be an instance for the basements.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Makes
exactly.
sense.
So, and then these are the other prizes. We everybody who logs in starting October 1st through the month of October will get a mini mojito memorial. And it's basically a tabletop version. Well, it is a tabletop version. We're just calling it a mini mojito uh, of this little statue here. This one is actually a medium-sized mojito, which is pretty much life size of what he would be, um, or would have been. And I know I'm jumping into a thing here without saying it. So Mojito was Chris's dog, Atos, in real life, and he passed away last month or earlier this month. So we actually, what was it, Stymie?
Yeah.
Yeah, Stymie suggested that we make a memorial. So this is what we've done. We created 3 different size statues. One is a tabletop that, as I said, is going to go out as a login reward, and then of course will be in the Crown Store for if you want to get more of those. A medium size, which will be in the Crown Store, and then a monumental size, which is pretty much 7 feet tall, maybe a little bit taller than that. In the game, and that one will also be in the Crown Store. The monumental sized one has also been placed in the Brittany Graveyard around the area where the player cemetery is, and as a memorial to him, so that'll be there forever. We are not removing Mojito in game from Owl's Head Bridge. He's been in the game since, I believe, since Owl's Head was created.
Yeah, possibly release 1.
Yeah, guarding the bridge on the main road into the center of town. But we do have plans to address, or I don't want to say address, whatever, acknowledge his passing there at the bridge as well. But we're still working on that, so we're not going to talk about the details. It's a kind of an experiment in itself as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so then the pillow, which of course could be used as a dog pillow, and this is also one of the new dyeable pillows that or cushions that's been put into the Crown Store this month. And of course,
we already have a large cushion that's dyeable in the Crown Store, but the existing one has 1 dye slot. This one has 2. If you want to get a little closer and show the fabric here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So it actually you dye different parts of the pattern.
Yes.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. So yeah, that's I am not jealous of her doing that work. So.
Oh my God, yeah.
That's
I actually didn't have to. It was already set up. The material was. I just had to stick it on a pillow.
Oh, that's cool.
That is so.
How did that happen?
I don't know who did it, but it already existed.
Wow, that's cool. I can't believe we hadn't made use of it.
Yeah, that's great. That's pretty funny. Yeah, there are other things in here that I'm like, I was just like, and Allium will tell you, I just threw my hands up and said, nope, I'm not doing it. I can set things up for dye, but oh my goodness, if you have complex patterns like this, it takes insane. an insane amount of time to sit there and set everything up so it comes out right.
Owsley Soda had a question that actually I wondered as well, saying, "Can we make pillows and cushions rotate vertical? Is it possible to have throw pillows that you can rotate vertically and like
Yeah, I just replied in text. I'm gonna see how it looks when we try it in game, and if it does, then yeah, I'll enable it.
Okay.
so that you
Yeah.
can like, I guess, and I'm assuming the idea is like to put it like up against a wall or something like to.
Yes, List did that in world building for Crooked Shank.
Hmm.
So I know that the devs can make that look good, but I don't know how it's going to look with the collision when a player tries.
Okay.
Right. So yeah, for certain ones we might be able to do that. It's only a checkbox if we deem it viable. So and then there's also a witch doll. It's a haunted witch doll,
Where did that
and
come from? That's cool looking.
this was I think this was from a telethon, maybe 2016, 2017.
It's very cute. I like its whimsical look.
Yeah, there's a whole set of haunted dolls that came out that year, and they each have different and creepy animations and sound effects.
Oh, nice.
You gave it away that if they get this, they're going to be cursed with some haunted stuff. And then of course the Day of the Dead
Yeah,
mask with a
one.
top hat on it.
That's fun.
So, a little cutting in there, but
It almost has a. I mean, you can tell that it's Day of the Dead just because of, the Dia de los Muertos kind of like look to it, right? With the mustache especially.
yeah.
But it almost has kind of like a Baron Samedi sort of look to it. Almost has like a, voodoo.
Oh,
voodoo
yeah.
Sort of.
There are 2 sets of Day of the Dead masks, and this was the black and white one. There's also a very colorful one that looks a little more traditional.
Oh, yeah. I think it's cool looking though. I like it.
Yep. So these are the prizes for today, and of course we'll repeat this a couple of times. That the only way to get the MASH losing words.
Hat.
Yeah, well, the hat, but the
Medic's fishing hat.
The homage. That's what I was gonna say. The MASH homage hat, and fishing rod. The only way to get those is to buy a 10K Kodo pack sometime between now and the end of the 4th. Excuse me, and we will after the offer expires, then we'll compile all the names of people who qualify, and we'll send out those things in game via in-game mail to you. So it may take a little bit of time to get that done. So be patient. And these items will never be in the store. They don't. I know. I saw a suggestion or a question, rather, yesterday, where somebody was hoping that the hat was going to be one of the prizes on the live stream. That's part of the compact here. These items are ultra rare. We will not be giving them out as prizes. We will not put them into the Crown Store, and they won't be available to the players in any way, shape, or form other than through this offer. So that's it's a new format that going through and trying to get things rare because of the way things were handled in the past. And that's also been discussed recently about the vault. I would like to get rid of the vault, but I have to figure out what to do. I know. Well, this leads into some other things, but we were talking about revenue and how to turn up the revenue a little bit, do some some funding, find a way to increase our funding, and pretty much there's a lot of suggestions in the there's a forum thread up there. I think there were actually 2 forum threads, but one of them pretty much outlasted the other. All but I think 1, maybe 2 of the suggestions are good, and things that we need to look at and figure out, and we'll have internal conversations about what we can and can't do. But some of the suggestions were basically like, make more items, and do more things. But of course, that's the whole point, is that we don't have the funding to do the more things. Doing that or reducing the number of items in the store because of promises that Portalarium made, which I am not Portalarium, would be a problem. So I got to sort out how to do what we're going to do and figure that out. So those things are still in conversation. So that's about all that. That's all to say about that, I think. I could just say as a reminder, we've also increased the number of levels of subscription that you could do. So the original base $9 a month is still there, where you get 900 kodos, which is pretty much one for the kodos, and then you get a whole slew of extra stuff, including about 3 items a month in subscriber login rewards, and then on a quarterly basis, there's titles and there's potions, there's dyes, all sorts of extra stuff. We added a second tier and a third tier. The second tier being $18 gets you 2,000 kodos, and the third tier being $27 gets you 3,500 kodos. And that also increases the number of potions that you get each month. And then you have all the other stuff that's the same across the board. There's definitely a lot of value in what we give you for the subscription, and those subscriptions are a major component to helping us continue to development in the game and keep the game up and running. So if you can, please subscribe to the game. It's optional, but every subscription helps us expand the game and move forward. So that'll be the end of my little advertisement for the moment. Let me get over to Casolitos. So I think that people are hanging out over there. I may have distracted myself from other stuff. I know that people were talking in the chat too. I don't know if there's anything else that we need to answer in here.
And I do want to point out that if you can't give a lot of money, you can still get some version of the nice stuff that we make. I mean, Scottie made this special medics hat with the tartan band and the fishing lures, but he also made a plain dyeable version that's craftable and a dyeable version with a different band and brim that's in the crown store. So you can get this basic shape.
Oh yeah, I was about to ask about that. If in fact, I did just send a message saying, have we or will we be talking about those 2 additional hats? Because
yeah. That's just blame that on my ADHD. I intended to mention that right there as well, and got distracted by myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
we do try in general to not have things entirely money locked. You can get a basic version of the fancier stuff that we sell pretty often.
Yeah, so to make it plain, is we have that special one that's only available through this offer. Then there's the fancy one that's going to be in the Crown store, which will also be dyeable and have the band
is
on it.
now in the Crown store.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah.
in the Mojito statues.
Right, and then the third one, which is craftable, and has a single dye slot, right? No, two dye slots, right? Right.
No, one for craftable.
Yep. So me confused as usual. But yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I called the other one fancy at first, but what are we calling that one? The one that has the 2 slots?
Oh, fancy.
We called it fancy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it is fancy. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that was fine.
Yep. So
it just doesn't. Those just don't have the fishing lures because they're not technically fishing hats. They're just bucket hats.
Right. Yeah. Which are typically used for fishing, but yeah, the lure thing is the special aspect of it.
Yes.
So there's other stuff that we've added in that we also made recipes, and this is the thing, is that we try to keep that balanced. So what was the Allium? What were the other recent things that we just did that we also put in recipes for?
There were 3 recipes this month. One was the plain bucket hat. One was I did a set of red ivy stuff this release, and one of those things was a set of ornate hanging plants in fancy metal containers, but we also have a craftable hanging ivy that's in a plain half barrel pot, and that's craftable with the red ivy.
Cool.
And then I had a request in Discord for a pile of coal decoration.
Yeah, yep.
It's
There you
very
go.
simple. You take 50 coal and you just stack it together and done.
Oh, and what would that be for? Like pile of coal right beside a.
If you put it next to your smelting station or what have you, yeah.
Right.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. And we actually,
or by like that fireplace, by the different fireplaces, the one that's closed that has the. I mean, I guess it could be like
Oh right, the iron stoves,
the
the coal
iron
pile would
stove.
work there. Yeah.
Yep. And so there's also we worked on, and it just wasn't ready yet, so it got set aside. But there's piles of ingots, stacks of ingots, and piles of ingots as well, that could be used for the various metals that has to be finished up and then added into the game. That needs a mesh. That's definitely a Scottie thing. What
The pile of ingots thing.
Yeah, pile of ingots. Yeah, one of us had worked on that, but the mesh work wasn't great. It wasn't done by an expert. It wasn't me, but it was somebody else. So, and that just needs to be touched on, but it's not. It wasn't a high priority. So in this case, we could probably throw that in at some point here too.
Are these be like the pile of ingots that are stylized visually, like the ones that are part of the crafting experience, like the icons for like different like
Right.
metal
Yeah.
ingots?
Yeah, if they
Actually,
could match the icons, that would be really neat.
yeah. Actually,
Yeah.
if you remember, we had talked about this, and this was like a year ago, I think.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
because somewhere in there were the more complex meshes that I made when I actually rendered those out initially, just so I could use them as icons.
Right.
But it wouldn't be that hard to make lower poly versions of those meshes and kind of get things out there that look like those things in the real world for sure.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
It's a little bit of
So,
time.
yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is like there should be like a small palette version, a larger palette version, and then literally a pile where they're just, looks like somebody's making them and then throwing them onto the ground, so they're in random directions and stuff.
Right.
And that was what I had in my head when when I came up with the idea originally. But um, as I said, it fell off the wayside because the meshes weren't working out very well, and I didn't have the skill set to actually. I still don't really have the skill set to go in there and fix the meshes up. So,
Ah,
all right. So with all that said, now there's bunches of questions going by here and everything. So yeah, that's a good question. In the editor, the names are coming up on the tombstones in the Brittany graveyard. But if that's not happening on live, then we need to check into some stuff. So that should be filed as a bug, Bella.
Wait on that. I don't think she's talking about in the graveyard in general for like the the pledge tombstones. I think she's talking about the small memorial garden, which you just
Okay.
haven't finished.
Yeah, the memorials, the more memorial headstones in the small cemetery that's attached is those names are not appearing yet because there's policy issues that need to be sorted out for that. And so that's not a completed aspect. But I had actually noticed last month that I couldn't get the names to come up, so I thought that there was a problem. But then I tested it in the editor and I didn't have any problems, so I thought maybe it was the same thing.
You may have just been over a stone that doesn't have anything assigned yet
No,
because
no,
it's an automatic system.
I was on my stone, so I know
Oh,
where my name is. Yeah.
now I have to go in and check.
I have to. I happened to be in the area because I was doing something else, and so I walked over there and checked out my stone. Pay myself some respects. That type of thing. But yeah, the names I couldn't get any of the names to come up, so I don't know what the hell was going on. Um, actually the only names that were coming up were the ones that I added in manually, if you know what I'm talking about, that we can't talk about. Um, and all the automated ones weren't working. So there was definitely something going on there. But anyway, if that part's working today, then I'm not worried about that. But if it's not, then that should be filed as a bug because that's an automation system and it's working in the editor. So that maybe there's something corrupted with the file that's on the live or something like that. But anyway, so let's see here. That was one thing. Somebody was asking about the statistics on how this benefited for adding the new tiers of the subscriptions and stuff. And I haven't actually ran a statistical report. This requires a little bit more because we don't have reports pre-made, so I'd have to go do some things to figure that out. But I do get every cancellation and every resub I get notifications on, and I spot check, and when I see a cancellation, then I see that they're re-upping with a higher tier. So there have been some increases on there, but there's always a noise level of people canceling subs, and because of real life, um, obviously with inflation and everything, that's understandable. So there's things along that.
Changes in circumstance.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, let's see. Yeah, so bottom line is that it's going to take a little bit more time for me to figure out if we've benefited from those new tiers. And I'd love to be able to set up something where I could run a report on the fly for that. I have to talk to Taslo about that to set something up because for whatever reason nobody's ever done that before. So we don't have the structure in place for it, and I need to get that done. So I'd like to know what's going on, especially for next year. I need to start budgeting out things and planning ahead. Speaking of which, Chris, I'll say Atos Undone and I, Chris and Bobby and I, have been just recently working together on something, and to do a shroud, trying to fix, prevent something from going wrong, and basically we're talked about some stuff, and we're working up some budgetary numbers for 2025 for some very specific project affecting tasks, things that have been on the plate for quite some time and that have been delayed. So not going to talk more about what those details are until I get the budgetary numbers to make sure it's still feasible and what we want to do. But Bobby's been working, Undone has been working on looking at the night sky, the constellation problem where it doesn't match up to the moon dials. So we're taking a look at that, and he's also looking at this other thing for me to see what we can do, and then we're going to start to put a project plan together for that. And then when I get that information, I'll give you guys more info as to what's happening.
Oh, good. It's good to hear that, though. It's good to hear that your attention is on that because, that whole system is very near and dear to my heart from a standpoint of just knowing that it is meant to and once did work with the orreries that I created,
Mm-hmm.
And so, because to me, especially the very idea that they are meant to match up with and be able to be looked at and read as an understanding of, well, this is what's going on right now, knowing that, oh, because that matches up with this and this, this dark, this one of these the dark cursed moons are passing through this particular virtue constellation means that certain towns are being attacked and things like that. Knowing that all that functioned and that it does match or can match is super important to me because I love to know that it's working. And so I'm glad that they're going to uh, look at that and consider possible ways of making sure that's properly repaired.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I have a couple of theories as to what is causing it or did cause it. I don't know if it's an ongoing cause or not. But I will tell you, when I brought it up when I brought it up, you should have seen Undone's face. He was not
Oh,
happy.
yeah, because
This,
he worked long and hard to make that work.
oh yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
for those of you who don't know, Undone, he goes by Undone in the game. His real name is Bobby, and he's actually a certified, as it were. He's got what do you call that? Degrees. He's got a degree in astrophysics. So,
Yes. Yeah.
he actually used his real world professional knowledge. He was one of the devs on the team and still works with us. And, he's still in the project as it were. It's obviously he's not working full time on it. But back in the day, he's the one who actually came up with all the math and everything to make the sky function and have all the planets, have their stuff, and then where they were able to predict and say that like all the planets will come into or I shouldn't say planets, the satellites would come
The
into
moons.
alignment. Yeah, all the moons would come into alignment in certain times and how long it would take, and then having the oraries or moon dials sync up to that and have the constellations in the sky and everything, which all ties into the sieges that happen on POTs and NPC towns. So all that's all tied in. There's actually a lot of stuff involved in all that, and something occurred somewhere in the last number of years somewhere that broke that, and I think I had some ideas as to what it was, but I don't want to point fingers, so so, so I'm not going to say. But I've given Undone all the all my ideas and hints and suggestions on that, and so we'll see if he can figure out why it's not working. The last conversation I had with him on this was day before yesterday, and he was duplicating the issue in a test scene. So again, part time. I don't know how long that's going to take, but obviously, I'd love to be able to get that aspect of the game working again properly.
And speaking of aspects of the game working, I just took my player character to my gravestone in Brittany Graveyard, and it and all the ones around it are populated and popping up just fine.
Okay, cool. All right. So let's see. I'm scrolling back just for a second. Actually, we're already late. It's already 5 p.m. and we need to do a prizing. So if you
Oh,
have not yet said a toast to Mojito in game, say it now because I'm going to start doing the drawings.
And we have an Ask a Dev that we can answer.
Okay.
What is the status of the comet that creates the Ether Dragon, Scorpion, and Lich? Is outbound on its loop? Does it still affect the beasts of Novia? Yes, it is starting to get smaller in the sky, and it will be gone at the end of November, and that's when all the ether creatures will go to sleep.
ah.
Find the things, do the things. Every time we get on one of these things, I don't think that I figure, oh, this is just gonna be an hour stream, and then we end up having
And,
so much to talk about.
and then here we are.
Yeah, so we have not covered everything yet. Okay, so let me see. I apologize because I really don't want to miss any of the questions that are in chat, but there's so much chat going on. I think I might have missed some stuff.
Nemesis Darkward asked if they can purchase a gravestone or plot in Brittany Graveyard. I think when those stones were put in, it was the number of people that had pledges that come with a stone in Brittany Graveyard.
Mhm.
So if there are blank stones, that doesn't mean that they are available. It just means that those people have not actually logged into their account and set a name.
Yep, that is correct. And actually, when I was first working on the idea of putting in a player cemetery and everything, because I had to clear out a section of the graveyard, I needed to determine what was going on. And I think there was a total of 4,000 something stones that were tied to those pledges where they had the ability to do that. Don't quote me on the number because I'm just approximating. When I looked into this, I found that the total number of stones that are set up in the graveyard exceed that pledge number by what was like something really weird, like 75 or 125 stones. It was an odd number. So I'm not really even sure what's going on with that. Behind the scenes, there's a script that applies the names to the stones, and that's updated on a nightly basis based on whether or not you as a player, if you had one of those pledges, had updated your name in your rewards section. I think it was special rewards. On the special rewards tab in your account on the website, there'll be a thing in there for putting your name in if you qualify for that. And anyway, all the stones are still there. I had to move some stones around, but what I did is I moved stones around that didn't have any names on them yet to clear out that section for the cemetery. The cemetery that's within the graveyard. See, that's how that works.
That's right.
So, um, yeah, I don't. That was a pledge thing back in the day, like as Allium said. So there are no current plans to make that available, but we do need to talk about what we're going to do some funding. So as I said before, and I don't want to make this an overall just a pledge drive type of stream here, but at some point in time, we're going to have to figure out what events or if there's going to be a thing where you can go on the website and and say, yeah, give try the avatar this amount of money, and then you get a thing in the game like that. I don't want to make it into any larger pledges like they did originally. Portalarium had some pretty complex and long-term type of pledges with lots of stuff in them. So we'll probably do something smaller so that way it's not costing a lot of money if you did it, and it would be quickly, if not immediately, fulfillable. So all these things are on the table, but nothing is written in stone. It's a graveyard thing with stone. Okay. So with all that said, I think we'll go on to the next thing. All right. Did it pop up anything? No, it did not. All right. I am doing the prizes.
Yeah, were we waiting for the prize bot to do its thing?
Yeah. And I think I might have clicked on the wrong thing. I updated the leaderboard. So things happen. So
Yeah.
so there you go, people. You got an updated leaderboard a little bit quicker than normal. Okay, so doing the prizes. We, as far as I know, we have not completed any hype trains. Twitch has that thing where you guys could um, do, what was it, the cheer, right? Cheer the bits type of thing. And if you do that often enough, you start a hype train going, and that adds more prizes to the draw.
No hype train.
No hype train.
It's pretty random. I don't always know what triggers it.
Yeah.
Who wants to read what?
That's a good question. I'll read the prizes.
Okay. I'll read the characters.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and then we still have some topics to talk about too. So, all right. All right. So our prizes. Actually, let's wait for a few. There we go. All right. Now we have everything going here. All right. So for this drawing, the The winner of a large ornate cushion with 2 die slots is
The wonderful character known as Ayan Ilalin, and then I read the second person as well, right?
yep.
Yeah.
That would be Delayan Lachlan.
There you go. Then we have a medium marble mojito memorial. Say that fast. That goes to
That has been won by Orlonian as well as Pop Lankermain or Lancermain, depending
Yeah,
on whether it's Lanker or Lancer.
I think it's Lancer. Then we have a haunted witch doll.
That has also been won by Orlonian as well as Tari Ilalin.
Please don't scare the dog with the witch.
Now, Tari Ilalin and Ayan Ilalin, are those like
They might be. Those names are new to me. So I don't know whether they're someone's alt or they're actually different people who chose the same family name.
That would be cool if like siblings or family members were joined together in the same name,
Yeah,
same
sometimes
last name.
people do that.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Next up is Day of the Dead mask with the top hat.
That has been won by Sage Rain as well as Radicus.
Very good. Very good. Then the Haunted Gothic Mansion Village Home.
That has been won by Bonulino as well as Kendra Sadler.
Yay! Congratulations to all the winners for this round of the prizing. Those prizes should be delivered shortly. Lainey is pretty efficient with that type of stuff. Yeah, yep, that should be good. And we still have a little bit more to talk about, so I think this will be one of those little bit extended streams. But we'll try to keep it as short as possible here. Let's see here. So we talked a little bit about Mojito. I guess we technically covered that one already. Got the bucket hat, and so there are more dungeon rooms coming. In this month, if you're a subscriber, then you got a dungeon room in as one of your login rewards for the subscribers. It's the naming wasn't quite great because basically it's a stone dungeon room that is a replica of a town-sized lot basement, and it's a 3x3. It's got 3 rooms within the room, so there's 2 doors, and it's segmented, that type of stuff. So there was even with the subscribers, there was an initial confusion as to whether or not it was a basement or if it was a dungeon room. We have renamed it, and that needs to go out into a patch to update the name. And so this will be changed to Stone Dungeon Room Town sized cellar, or Stone Dungeon Room Cellar, I think is what it was. I'm going to tell you that the dungeon room naming is horrible. So we have a whole bunch of dungeon rooms in the game, and the naming is not quite consistent across the board. There's a spreadsheet involved in this, and we need to audit some things, and I'm going to probably be renaming a bunch of that stuff to make it more consistent. I've been starting to put together a structure for this where the name will have segments. Part of it in the beginning has to have player dungeon room or something along those lines, and then the type of room that it is and a descriptive name for it. Like if it has a Diaz or a dais in it, or any other special thing with statues or whatever, that type of thing, or even with spawns, that type of situation. Then there's the because I am now introducing dungeon rooms that will be multiple levels. There's one or two I think in there now that the height of the room is 2 stories, or like the cathedral rooms, that type of thing. But so the naming has to take that naming convention has to take that into account. And then the last bit of it is the 3x3 in this case, right? Which is the gridding system, and it tells you how big the room is. Not all the rooms have this on it, which has been a complaint in the past. So that also needs to be swept through and fixed. And of course, there are existing player dungeon room bugs that need to be sorted out and cleaned up. But this month, I'm going to be creating new dungeon rooms and putting them in. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm taking the basements that are in the game and copying them and converting them into dungeon rooms. So that way, we have a whole slew of different types of basements, arenas, and like the castle basements. The 5-story castle basement is absolutely huge. It's almost like putting catacombs into your dungeon all by itself, just by putting in the one dungeon room. It has lots of different rooms and stuff in its levels. Then, of course, as I have done in the past with the spider room, I could make different versions of them and make tweaks and add stairways and other special hidden things that could be discovered and all that. Of course,
there's some squishing that you have to do for that just to make it fit the grids, though.
Well, no, these are all on the same grid. They were all built
really?
they were all built on the Dungeon Kit grid. So that's why they're ideal swap outs. So like this room that we did today is literally the same 3x3 outer wall size of the 3x3 stone dungeon room that's already in the kit that's available to the players. So this one just happens to have the separations inside where it splits that into 3 rooms. So nothing else had to change for that, so that wasn't that difficult to put into place. And included in our plan is that smaller ones like the row houses, not all of them obviously, but we'll see where we go with this. Some of those smaller stuff like the row houses, villages, basements can be made craftable. So again, keeping with that theory of operation and our presentation, that you'll still be able to get some new dungeon rooms without having to go into the crown store and buy them. So be something of a ratio to get that done. Some of the larger stuff, I'm thinking maybe even the 1-story rooms may be the ones that would be craftable. So you might still even be able to craft. It would take a ton of granite if you were to craft a 1-story castle-sized basement cellar dungeon room. But I don't see a problem with actually setting up that type of thing. I have to grid this all out and put it on paper, as it were, right in a spreadsheet, and figure out where I'm all at on this. But this is one of my focuses during the next 30 days, is to get more of these rooms into the game, and then continue on with that, so we get some more new content for that. So
I have a question, by the way, and this is just, again, often I ask these out of total ignorance just because an idea pops in my head. But you recall, like in the bottom of like a couple of the dungeons that I worked on, there was one dungeon in particular underneath Hilt that past the spider room, there was that whole area that was, and Belladonna Rose actually made me think of this because she mentioned that catacombs are interesting. But I kept thinking about the burial kind of catacombs, like the grave catacombs that exist underneath the spider level
yeah, that one large lich room with the all the side passages and the crypts in it. Yeah.
And I don't know to the extent to which we can do it, or to the extent to which it is, because Travis worked on all that stuff for the dungeon rooms that players get to have below their houses and lead to. But to what extent have we already given players sort of like, especially players who love goth kind of stuff, to say, oh, my dungeon is a skeleton filled catacombs with like burial caskets and a bunch of other stuff in there. And to what extent could we potentially use the stuff that I created in Hilt to provide them with that?
Now, you're saying deco?
Yeah,
We do try to strip out some deco when we're converting existing dungeon rooms, just because players want to place their own.
deco themselves, right? But that could open up a category of things that we could provide more of if we haven't already. That could include like, oh, do you fancy yourself a vampire or whatever, or a lich or a ghoul? Well, then you could have burial catacombs underneath your house. And look, here's all the decorations. I mean, enough to make walls of bones. Like, what are the catacombs in Paris?
Oh God, yeah.
But I hadn't seen anything like that, so I wasn't sure if we already offered a suite of things like that, because that might be something that we could provide, not fairly easily. I don't want to say anything is fairly easily, but we do have the resources for that already built to some extent that we might be able to draw from.
Right. There are definitely a bunch of those things available in the Crown Store, especially now. Well, in theory, right now, actually, we should
Yeah.
check. Um,
And we do also have several other dungeon rooms that are converted from existing scenes that have that sort of theme. I believe there's a couple from Ravensmoor and from the Compendium of Pain and Suffering.
Which is, a great name just in and of itself. But yeah, I wonder, that makes me want to look through at some point in time and see, because with a lot of the resources that you already have, like, oh, I see some skull piles and some bones, but I bet you that it wouldn't be too hard to create more skull and bone things, to create more of an ossuary. That word, the ossuary, as a room
Yeah.
wherein bones are displayed decoratively. There could be more things like that could be provided.
Yeah, I believe there's actual skull walls in Malice.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
There's a whole
yeah.
side passage that people don't often take because it's not related to the quest and you can just ignore it if you want to, but it's decorated quite
Oh.
significantly.
Well, then we could definitely come out with a new type of player dungeon room set. Parisian catacomb or something like that. So,
I've got that
What?
stuff on the mind recently, simply because I've been watching Adam's Family, and I've been watching some episodes of the Munsters and a bunch of other things like that. So I have weird gothy stuff on the brain. So
Gotcha.
forgive
Yeah.
me.
No problem. Before we go too much further into anything, part of my rambling there was meant to include. I actually think I started even saying the sentence, but somehow didn't get there. So adding more rooms, and then I was talking about the different versions and stuff, and of course this new stuff that I'm adding. My intention is that every room that I add, there would be a pristine version, and then a spawning version. So more totems, more totems will be coming in. And of course, not just making the rooms spawnable, but actually having more different spawn varieties into the set as well. Now, that's not as easy as getting some of these rooms together. Some of these rooms, especially I admit I'm cheating a little bit in the beginning here, because I have a slew of basements available to me that I could just grab them, convert them, test them, and then throw them in. So I could get some more content in for you guys for that way quicker. But obviously, if I want to add in more totems, as far as, like, let's say a different type of enemy than we currently have, and that we only have a few, so they definitely need to be updated. I actually have to copy one of the mobs, like, let's say a kobold, right, from the game that we have in one of the scenes. I actually have to copy that and make changes and make it into a custom one that goes into its own section of the game files that's dedicated to player dungeons. So that all has to be done, and then assign it and all that neat stuff. One of the things I've wanted to do and have not yet been successful in figuring out a way around it is allow you to be able to put a totem in for a mob type and have those mobs show up in that room, because we have to pre-populate their spawn positions, right? So
And for all the different tiers too.
yeah, and for all the different tiers. So if you can imagine what that would look like, it could be done. I mean, anything can be done in software if you have enough money, time, or resources. That's, you learn that when you go to programming school. But the idea that you'd be able to take an elf totem, put it there, and then only elves show up, or put a kobold totem there and only kobolds show up, etc., would be some change to the mechanic, some change to the code that would have to be done. But all of those prefabs, all of those mobs would actually have to be there in the dungeon room, ready to be spawned if the right key was put in the lock, if that makes sense. So there's a lot of work to be done there to make that happen, but it's not impossible. It's just something that needs to be done. So for now, I want to work within what we currently have, and then look at expanding that and fixing that system, because then I can go back and just throw in more mobs in the existing rooms, and then give you that choice. So
and someone I want to say it was like Owsley Soda asked something about like possibility of getting deco items that were skulls on sticks. Is that something that would go hand in hand with things like the totems and the spawners and indicating like one's dungeon areas have certain levels of danger? Was that what that would be? What the purpose of those would be? Or
oh yeah, in the adventure area zones, when you go into the zones, right at the entrance, there's a pike with skulls on it, and that tells you how strong that area is, right?
oh, right.
Yeah.
Right, but are those? Someone seemed to be asking for like deco items of those earlier for the dungeons.
Right,
And
and I could, that makes sense. Then that way they could let players know what they're walking into. I think I remember hearing somebody who was like saying that, well, they, like, this person went into my dungeon, but they didn't realize that it was like, all the highest tier liches and stuff, and then of course they just get wiped.
oh, right.
Yeah.
And,
So
and have we? I mean, especially considering the name dungeon in and of itself, assuming that it literally is going to be decorated like a dungeon. Did we ever provide decorative items in the form of the kind of stuff that was found in um, the dungeon outside of Xenos Artifice? There's a whole section of like like true torture dungeon deco stuff all the way down until you get to the the child killer 3000 area.
Yes, I believe there are some torture furniture pieces in the Crown store.
yes,
Oh, okay.
And there's shackles and prison cages that are craftable, and yeah.
right. There are specifically 2 pages of dedicated dungeon decorations. I mean, obviously
cool.
players could use those in other areas as well, but they're categorized as player dungeon decorations. I think there should be more. I think that, based on what you're saying, there's a lot more stuff that could be added into that list. And
I should look. This is my fault, by the way, so everyone out there, please forgive me. I just haven't had a lot of time to myself, but I would be glad to sit down with any one of you all, and either of you guys to sit down and say, hey, let's look through the dungeon things that we already have, and I might, just because of the areas that I've built, go, wait a minute, you know what? We've never offered this thing that I know of that I put in there, and this thing, and there's probably a lot of stuff that's available that I've already made that could be grabbed and utilized.
And turned into assets. Yep.
Oh yeah, totally.
No, absolutely. I mean,
So either
it's even tempting to start another thread like the one that we have with list.
Yeah, we have an existing thread in the wishlist forum for players to give us the coordinates of stuff that exists in game that they don't have access to. And it's like 15 pages long at this point, at least.
Good God. Well,
and we've been going through every now and then, and sometimes pretty often, actually. In fact, stuff that we add in a release is stuff that players have wishlisted.
Well, then we should certainly start there when we have the chance. I mean, I feel bad as it is that I haven't been able to spend as much time doing stuff, but I mean, especially if it's already made and there's low-hanging fruit, we should take full advantage of that.
Absolutely. Yep. No doubt whatsoever. As I said, I don't want to start a new thread on that because we've recently had clarified the rules on those postings and stuff. We wanted everybody to have a separate post on each separate item that they were wish listing for, whatever it was, and the only one that made sense to keep was stuff that pre-existed in the game. So I just don't want to start creating another thread that's specifically for dungeons or anything. But obviously, anybody who's looking to help out with that, they could definitely post the coordinates and put, a coordinates and a screenshot would be really helpful into that existing thread for pre-existing items in the game.
Right.
That's all in the wish list section of the forums.
Yeah, I'll have to go check that out at some point in time. You might want to. Next time you're around here at my place, we can sit down and look in that direction, because I just haven't had the chance to peruse it yet. And yeah, my God, yeah, please don't start another thread if there's already a 15-pager.
Yeah, exactly.
And it gets trimmed, because when things get added, we archive the post.
Well, that's good. That's good to know.
Yeah. So
I see a direct message with it. What looks like in it. Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. Cool. All right. So that pretty much covers the player dungeon stuff. I mean, you guys, I'm sure, could imagine that there's like hundreds of directions I could go with this. But as opposed to what's been done in the past, I am trying my best to withhold my excitement and saying, "Oh, look, that was easy," and then just make 1,000 of them. Because without thinking ahead, structuring the naming conventions, use studies and things like that. Not that I'm a long time, but you got to think these things through and make sure that it's all put together right. So that's what I want to. The real thing I'm trying to say here is that I don't want to move forward and then flood the game with all new stuff without fixing the old stuff as well. So the existing rooms, there's a ton of bugs that are in there. Well, I should say a ton, but there are bugs that need to be sorted out, and I want to pay attention to those as well. So we're working on getting all that stuff condensed and put together. Obviously, there are existing bugs in the forum that have been filed, verified, and there are JIRAs for them. So if anybody takes a look at that stuff, says, I found a bug in a player room, player dungeon room. Please make sure that that bug isn't already posted before you go and post a new one, because duplication doesn't help us either. but I do plan on continuing on working on all that stuff. So this is, as you guys know, a lot of my time has been taken up with administration since Chris has shifted to doing the stuff that he's doing, the management aspect of the company, as it were. I'm the lead person on Shroud of the Avatar and doing all the things that I'm doing to keep the game going and all that type of stuff. So I'm touching on a lot of different areas. Someday I would love to be able to hand off things that I'm doing work of at least 3 different devs right now. And if I could trim that down, then I could get back to doing more content stuff, which is what I was originally supposed to do. It's one of those things that it's slower now, but we're not stopping. It's just slower. And once we sort out the financial situation, figure out some way that we could get a burst of funding into the game, then I could start actually putting together and following through with the plans that I have for the game and the direction and all that neat stuff. So there's definitely some good stuff coming if I could get everything done. So.
And things to look forward to.
Yeah. So the last thing I had on my list that we could talk about a little bit is just saying that we just had the Bug Brigade party in Brecon Bay, which is the new home of the Bug Boat, the home of the Bug Moderators, and that was a really good success. That was like a 2.5 hour party, right?
3, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it went off really well. We had a fishing contest. We had 2 different scavenging hunts, as it were, little mini quests that were put together, and I think it's we had a good attendance. So we had like 40. I think it was 42 people that showed up. Somewhere in my head, it's either like 38 or 42, something like that. And I just want to thank all the players who showed up. That was awesome. It was definitely a great party, lots of fun, and of course this was the 4th anniversary, and we plan on continuing. So new items get added to the Bug Brigade reward list, which also, well, not all of them are unique to the Bug Brigade, but the ones that are, that's the only way to get those. So there are definitely some rare items there as well that could be obtained over time. And every month that you do something to help out the Bug Brigade, then you will get a reward in your in-game mail and move along. There's information in the forums with that. There's a document called the Bug Brigade Rides Again that you want to go check out. And if you're not already participating in the Bug Brigade, just send a PM to me to sign up, and Allium or I will get you the questions and stuff that we need to get all the information together and get you set up with the brigade. So that helps us very much make sure that the game content is refined and bugs are taken care of and not just left there to entertain people like Bethesda. We don't think like Bethesda. Bethesda just says, "Oh, the players love the bugs. Well, we're going to leave them in because they're funny." No, that's an excuse.
Well, we have done that a couple of times.
Well, yeah, no, there's a few, but not in general, and Bethesda just uses it as an excuse at this point, I think so.
Well, at that point, they magically transform into a feature.
Yes,
exactly.
But by the way, since we've hit 5:30, do you all do multiple prizings?
Yeah, if we go this far past the hour, then this is another prizing. So we get 2 more prizes going to be given out now. So if you have not yet, if you have, you're good, but you can again, no problem with that. If you have not yet, please type into the game a toast to mojito.
And I'll just say it right now because indeed that was a wonderful little dog, so cute, incredibly energetic and full of love. A toast to mojito.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, that did not make me happy when he passed. It was all of a sudden. He was 14 years old.
Wow, though, that's not bad for a dog like that.
Yep. But it came on and just it was really, really quick.
Oh man, do they know? I mean, I know it's kind of a sad thing to talk about, but do they know what it was or what happened?
No, he doesn't know. He's Chris said he thinks it was something to do with his stomach, but it's just basically he was fine 1 minute, and then the next day he just was not not in good shape at all, and then I think the next day after that he passed.
Poor little guy, what a loss.
And for those of you who know, Chris had gotten a second puppy a while ago named Milo.
It's actually just off to your right.
Yes, right. Yeah. So Milo is over here. He is the Spears' second puppy, and
Oh,
the little brother of, as per se, right, the little brother of Mojito. But what Chris told me, very touching. That
and Mojito was the breed of dog of Mojito. Was that a Whippet or is that a
Italian Greyhound.
Yeah.
an Italian Greyhound? So yeah,
And Milo is too.
Yeah.
13 is a fairly good age for a dog of that kind.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So Chris told me that the next day after Mojito passed, Milo apparently has a routine where he goes in and barks at Mojito until he wakes up, and he continued doing that.
Oh man.
Yeah. So.
Oh, that's got to be rough.
Yep. And then of course Maxine, Chris's daughter. It's hitting the whole family hard.
Of course. I mean, Mojito was so much a part of their family and for so long.
Yep.
Basically
very
her whole life.
Yeah, it literally her whole life.
Yep. Yeah, he said that Maxine, hasn't known a day without Mojito. So.
Yeah, it hits you hard. Yeah, Hugo and Pieces said it too. 13's pretty good age for a dog like that.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Well loved, well lived, a good life for sure.
Yep. Absolutely.
And if it's been that long, you don't really worry so much about what caused it at that point.
No.
Yep. No, definitely. All right, let's get a prizing going so we can wrap this up.
Okay.
Oh, there it is, right there. Prizing.
Did you want to show that dungeon room? Do we have it placed on live?
I don't think so. We can. I need to find the thing. I actually was prepared to go show the Unity for the hat, but Slewing gave us a really good representation.
I just saw Radicus 2K said Scottie needs to whip up some Xenosian togas, fancy and plain ones, for a toga party. Yeah, that is going to take me learning a lot more from Damon than I learned just to get the hat going.
Yeah, we do have a Xenosian armor set. The leather kilt and the Roman chest plate and several helmed plumes, and
that's cool. A toga would be fun. I mean, togas would be enjoyable. I don't think we have anything like that, do we? Nothing like togas.
No.
It would be neat to get some Xenosian like style Greco-Roman wear, like older style stuff, like Caesarean sort of style things going on. But yeah, that's a little bit of a tougher ask. That's me learning how to build and weight clothing. And when I talk about weighting,
with the cloth simulation and
the
Titan statues the Titan statues are in togas though.
Yeah, they are, and it would be cool to see that kind of stuff. But yeah, someone Conjure Dragon says no togas without tunicas and loincloths. Yeah, well, we almost have those now. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it would be neat to have a whole set of that kind of stuff. But yeah, that may be a little bit longer in coming. I'm going to need to learn how to do vertex weighting to make sure that they animate properly with all of our animations. And man, am I not set up to do that right now. That's when I talk about being a jack of all trades and master of none, that is not one of those that I'm a jack of all. That is that's one of those things. Animators among our artists group, animators are very much specialists, and even Damon, it's not just immediately evident how to make something from scratch and really get it going well. It takes a lot of work, and the Fletchers and the Damons, I should say, of our artist world are few and far between, hard to come by, and it's hard-won knowledge. So it's something that I'm going to have to really figure out one day if we're ever going to get some good new clothes in. Either that or bring Damon in to do some stuff for us. Wow, what is that behemoth gray squirrel to the left?
That's a giant gray
giant
squirrel.
gray squirrel.
Oh, good lord. Thing is like the size of a capybara. It's terrifying.
This is squirrel school. That's the teacher and then all the students. So, there you go.
Good God.
Yes, September is back to squirrel month.
That's very cute. I love that bright red squirrel. What the hell is that?
It's a red squirrel.
Yeah, but that's red of a supernatural variety.
Yes. The standard squirrels within game that are just labeled squirrel are a reddish brown. And then we have bright red and black and white and gray and giant.
That red. Oh, it's one of the puzzle trees. I'd not seen those before.
Really? You've not seen them?
Yeah, no. This is the first time I've seen one of those.
These are available even today in the Make a Difference store. This is for autism.
Oh yeah, I made a cloak for that at one point.
Yeah.
The puzzle tree cloak.
My son is autistic, so I, definitely invested in getting the trees and stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. I really honestly hadn't seen it before. It kind of like it took me aback when I realized, oh my God, these are puzzle pieces. Oh wow, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, this is the graveyard that I put together for my player-owned town.
Oh, neat.
So, come on, let me on my property, damn it. I got a lot of decorations.
Yeah, that one squirrel was as red as the red version of a horse of a different color from Wizard of Oz. I mean, that thing had been dunked in dye.
Oh man! All right, we have our prizes. We could read those off while I'm waiting for this to load if you want. No.
Oh, certainly.
All right, never too late.
And I must unfortunately flee.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
no, we're definitely at the end of this, but let me just
So what was the deal behind this chamber you all were trying to load up?
this is the new dungeon room that I just added into the game. And this is how it comes. It has no stub hallway or anything. It goes right into it. There's no lighting that comes in. We are no longer putting pre-baked in lighting in anything. No houses, no dungeon rooms, nothing. The players have choices that way. They don't have to worry about having little candles stuck on their wall forever.
What are the floating tools in that doorway?
Yeah, go ahead.
The blue crossed hammers
Yeah.
are controls for setting the dungeon, which you can only access when you're in deco mode and not when in adventure mode. So you can choose what room you're placing. You can choose which connection that it's connecting to if it has multiple ones. You can see how many points it costs and how many you have available. It's the control for building dungeons.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm totally unfamiliar with it. I mean, I got to see some of it in its infancy, and I got to see some of the cool areas and spaces that have been made since then, especially the earliest stuff by Travis. I'm not as familiar with everything that goes into it though, and I was excited by it because it was kind of a new way of creating kind of dungeon spaces that players could both control and move around in. But I'm not as familiar with it as I am the traditional dungeon pieces that I built most of the dungeons with.
Right.
Is there someone in the dungeon with you? Can you open the nearby players?
Sure.
Because when you have spell effects showing up at the center of the foyer like that, it usually means that there's someone that has died in your dungeon with those spells on, and that looks like Death Shield.
Huh, interesting.
That right there, that stuff you're seeing?
Yeah.
That's
I was
weird.
wondering about that myself. No,
That's
nobody's
odd.
here. Maybe somebody was in here before I got here.
Yeah, it shouldn't affect unless they're actually still there.
I have no idea. Question.
It's a bug.
Yep, another bug. Okay, so there was an Ask Dev. I'll say real quick. Um, which somehow I clicked on Ask Dev and it's not there. Damn it. There. Okay. Christ Pallid said, "Can we get dungeon transitions that are breakable walls, or at least an already broken wall?" Yes. uh, when? I don't know, but yes.
I do believe we have placeable broken walls already, although I'm not sure if they match this kit.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. I definitely, and I'm positive because, the doors are doors. So I should be able to use, make transitions, hallway transitions and things like that, where it's the breakable wall. So it just might take a little bit of time for me to, go get down to that point and set those things up. There's another big room that I'm working on, that's a ballroom, and that one's supposed to have a breakable wall in it someplace, just as a kind of a secret exit to get onto another section of your dungeon or whatever, that type of thing. And there's more stuff to do with that as well, and where I'm trying to put together. Uh, well, this ballroom is huge. I mean, we're talking huge, uh, and so to the point where you'd probably have to put about, I'd say, 12 Aether radios in. So if you're going to have a dance party in this ballroom, then you'd have to put that many to make sure people get to hear music all as they walk around the whole room. So I'm working on making loudspeakers. So basically, these huge loudspeakers would have a longer, a bit wider, whatever, bigger radius, bigger range. Um,
Actually, someone recently wish listed basically a broadcast radio device,
oh,
like
for
the town
dungeons.
ones that would just work in the dungeon, that would take over the whole scene.
Yeah, I'm not so sure we might be able to just check a flag on the existing one for POTs.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, so that might be an experiment we need to check and see if that works, then there's no reason not to have it and not to allow that to be a thing.
By the way, N Darkwood asked about traps that can hurt and kill. Long ago I created two different doors. One had a fire sigil on it, and the other had a cask of exploding powder on one side of it. That both of those were meant to be traps that would blow up if you like didn't disarm them from one side.
Mhm.
Do we provide that kind of thing, or have we already provided that kind of thing for folks for their dungeon?
I've seen the doors with the casks used in world building. I don't think players have them, but players do have spike traps and a fire arrow pressure plate and spikes out of the floor and a flamethrower pressure plate, but they don't do damage,
Oh,
which
they
I
don't.
think was a deliberate choice that the developers made at the time, and I'm not sure I want to go back on that.
Yeah.
Right. That makes sense. Well, I mean, so even if they didn't cause damage, those two doorways that I created that had different, because they're made to function. They actually are in my little test map and are functional, as long as you lay them down. I mean, I guess those could be provided too at some point.
Right. Yeah. 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 I mean, everything is up for discussion. But obviously, got to fix. I want to fix the existing set as a priority before we
Right.
start adding in more stuff has functionality that needs to have tweaking done to it. So, all right, let's do prizes.
Okay.
We yet again got off on a thing.
No, we never fly off into tangents for no reason. It's impossible.
Never. Okay, so let's see here. And guys, I'm seeing a lot of the chat stuff about the workable traps and all that stuff in Twitch as well. So all good ideas. Just we're running out of time to chat about stuff. I actually have to get into the car after we get off this and get on the road. So I'm anxious to get started with that stuff, but I always I just love the fact that these streams don't end up having any lulls. We just keep on going from subject to subject, and I can stay here all night talking. It's cool. All right, so with all that said, our second set of prizings for this stream are starting with a prize of a large ornate cushion.
This time around, that will go to Handsome Jack as well as Mapper.
Oh, a medium marble mojito memorial goes to.
This time, that will go to Ethacdothartus as well as Faucheur Sombre.
And we have a haunted witch doll.
That will go to Sammy as well as to Trokip McLaren.
Getting towards the end, we have a Day of the Dead mask with top hat.
That will go to Hrothgar Skalgrimson and to Rook Strife.
Okay, and then our final grand prize for the evening is a haunted Gothic mansion village home, and that goes to.
That will go to Aristodemus as well as Gravity.
Excellent. Congratulations to all the winners.
Yep, congratulations. Oh,
What did I miss?
no, I'm seeing the note that that was thrown up there.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Okay, and we I think we got everything everything going on in the thing. So, as I said earlier, since I'm going to be working on dungeon rooms, I really love the idea of sharing those work sessions with you guys. So, my plans are to do live streaming while I am working on the game. Once again, I've not done this in a long, long time, so I'll start doing that again. And you guys can see the process of setting up these dungeon rooms, and we'll chat while I'm doing that and all those neat things. And of course, maybe some of the devs, the other devs, would be happy to join me on those occasions if they're available, because I hate doing streams by myself. But
Well, good
okay,
deal.
yep. And we are going to do a raid here. Just waiting for the raid to occur. There we go.
Well,
Okay.
once again, thank you all so much for all the birthday wishes. I really appreciate that. You all take care, and we'll be seeing you all again soon.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody. Have a great month. Thanks for supporting the game, and I'll talk to you during the month. And then, of course, one last quick note that October's release will be on the 30th, because that's the last Thursday of October is Halloween. And I'm having a Halloween party. Anybody in North Texas, check out the just check out the forums, but ping me in the forums if you're in North Texas and want to come to a Halloween party out my driveway. So I'm gonna say, I don't know, now lost it. Oh yeah, so our next live stream for the release update will be on November 1st, because we're not going to do anything on Halloween, because Halloween. All right, guys, see you later.
Okay, bye-bye. Take care.
Good night.